Hello, friends. Welcome to Trillionaire Tip Tuesday. I am your host, David Ray Newby, author of many best-selling books, including Beyond Billions, and also founder of the Solomon Wisdom Society, the most exclusive fraternity in the world for billionaires. I want to talk to you today about a trillionaire tip from King Solomon that will greatly improve your life. Now, on Trillionaire Tip Tuesday, you receive golden nuggets of wisdom to massively improve your life, modeling the wisdom of King Solomon. Now, you may know that he was a Jewish king that wrote the book of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. What you may not know about King Solomon is that in today's money, he was worth over $4 trillion, and he had over $2 trillion of gold holdings alone, and he created that wealth through business ventures. And so today's trillionaire tip comes from Proverbs 21, 11, and 29. If you have a smartphone, you can download the Bible app. It's free. Go to the book of Proverbs and pull up these verses. I'm going to read them to you now. Whoever loves a pure heart and gracious speech will have the king as a friend. Do you see a man skilled in his work? He will serve kings rather than working for ordinary people. So one of the questions that I've been asked a lot in the last year is, how in the world have I been able to speak to over 135 billionaires and growing on a regular basis? Well, those two teachings of Solomon give you those two trillionaire tips give you some very strong clues. Um, First of all, in my life journey, I grew up with a stepdad who told me he wouldn't adopt me. There's no dad on my birth certificate, so I had a rejection identity for many years. And from age 7 to 37, I looked for affirmation from older men. And I was actually embarrassed about people finding out about my family because I grew up around a lot of murderers, and actually, there's a lot of murder of family members in my immediate past. So I was very afraid I wanted people to like me. I was very afraid of people finding out how messed up my family was and thinking less of me. So I went through a journey of healing my own heart and releasing that. And as I let go of that fear of embarrassment, I started talking more openly with other business owners. And actually, that opened a lot of doors for me to talk to billionaires. Now, I was strategic and I approached them, and that's a whole nother talk. That was 10 years worth of research and starting to engage with people who can I want to impact the people who can make the biggest impact on the world. Billionaires today do make the biggest impact on the world. They affect whole national elections, they affect the whole national economies, and so that's why I strategically engage with them. So one part of that is my life journey, and I was strategic. I let go of the fear of embarrassment, and I look to influence influential people. So what about from Proverbs? What could you take from these teachings of Solomon? Verse 11, whoever loves a pure heart and gracious speech. So let's dig into those two things a little bit. Over the years, I've learned to speak graciously. I was a very mean kid. I used to cuss people out. I used to be a bully. I never physically fought them. My mom taught me how to deal with anger without physically fighting people. I was very verbally abusive as a young child. And so over the years, I learned to speak graciously. Now, my journey of that was learning to forgive my stepdad, forgive my dad, forgive my mom, forgive anybody who let me down. Just forgive the past and release any negative emotions, fear, anger, disappointment. All of these things, I release those. As I've released those things, I've learned to speak graciously with people because you can only give someone else what you have. So if you have a hard time speaking graciously with people, if you find that you speak harshly, there's something not at ease. There's some dis-ease inside of your spirit and your heart, and it probably is in your physical body as well, and that will show up as sickness. So I encourage you, look to find the roots of that, release that, and be gracious with yourself, forgiving of yourself, forgiving of others, and that will help you speak graciously. A recent example, a month ago, someone threatened my life about a business deal, an element of a business deal they weren't happy about. Now, in the past, I may have gone into fight or flight and counter threatened them. But I was able just to calmly, because I'm so at peace, I've released these negative emotions. I was able to calmly tell them that that's not the wisest way to deal with their frustration, and there's a lot of other ways that we can deal with their frustration that's more productive. And we found a productive solution. So that shows you the power of being able to speak graciously. A week after that conversation, I actually got invited back to speak to over 120 billionaires at a private event next month. And I also had someone that was introduced to me that is introducing me to 8, 9 very high profile billionaires including one of the 5 richest people in the world and several people that are in the news all the time, very, very high profile. So I don't like to name drop a lot, but just to give you an example, I'm speaking graciously, and God is opening doors for me on a regular basis to speak to kings. So if you want to speak to more influential people, work on speaking graciously. Now, the next part is a pure heart, right? I talked about that as well. The pure heart part is basically when you release anger, when you release fear, when you release any negative emotion, that helps you a lot. Another thing that helps you have a pure heart is always looking to serve others before being served. Come from a place of humble humility and service instead of wanting your needs met. Meet their need first, and then you're going to basically create reciprocity. They're going to want to help meet your needs because you help meet their need. And so that's another big key. Last but not least, I would say practice. What I've done in the last few years that have helped me tremendously physically is I do prayer, and I do gratitude is a big part of my prayer. And I also meditate and visualize very positive things. So there is one philosophy of meditation where you attempt to empty your mind. I do another type of meditation, sort of more the biblical based way, where you meditate on goodness. You meditate on God's goodness. You meditate on your health. You meditate on the great things you want to do with your life. You meditate on being thankful you're alive, and you can take your passions and your interests and make an amazing contribution to the world. So I visualize very specific things when I meditate, and that's just a great way to help those things to become reality, because everything that becomes reality in real life starts in someone's thoughts first. So be very intentional about what you put into your mind and your heart and what you meditate on and think on. As you purify your heart, you will be elevated, and you will be finding yourself influencing and in the company of more and more influential people. So last but not least, do everything with excellence. Verse 29, do you see a man skilled in his work? He will serve kings rather than working for ordinary people. Every day, look to improve your skill and ability. Anthony Robbins calls it kanai, constant and never-ending improvement. Now, you want to not beat yourself up about not being as good as someone else at something, but you also want to always just better your best. Run a race against yourself. We're all running our own individual race in life. I could be worth $10 billion right now and think that I'm a loser if I want to compare myself to Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. So it's like, oh, they're worth 80, 100 billion. That's the wrong way to look at yourself. If you look at yourself compared to where you were or where you started, let's say you used to really have a short temper and yell at your wife or yell at your husband or yell at your kids, and you've learned to take a few deep breaths when you get angry and calm down and talk to someone nicely and even instruct them or correct them nicely. Well, look at that journey. Look at that improvement. Don't look at comparing yourself to someone else who's better at you. Look back at your own progress. Now, if there are areas of your life that you're not progressing, then I would encourage you very much, seek wisdom, seek knowledge from people who are good at that area, and look to improve. Don't just keep repeating that same mistake. That's foolishness if you keep repeating the same mistake over and over again. Or as I said, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So put away foolishness, put away insanity, put on wisdom. And wisdom is the process of seeking knowledge and improving. And so I trust that these Trillionaire tips were very helpful to you. Again, look at purifying your heart, speaking graciously, and improving your skill and ability. You do those 3 things, you're going to find yourself in the presence of modern day kings, leaders in your industry, and you might even find yourself in a room with some billionaires and me in the near future as well. God bless you, friend. I appreciate you. I thank you for your time investment watching this video. If you haven't already, check out on Amazon my latest book, Beyond Billions. You can get it on Kindle, Audible, or hardcover. And yes, I encourage you, leave a lasting legacy, an intentional legacy every day. Because every day we're all leaving a legacy. The only question is, how intentional will your legacy be? And if you leave an intentional legacy every day in key areas, you can build multi-generational success, modeling King Solomon's trillionaire wisdom. Bye for now.